everyone. We are going to be talking everything egg rolls today, and I apologize for not getting to you sooner yesterday, but it was just one of those days, if you feel me, right? Thank you for joining. Did you see my little announcement? I put a SVC news update. Some people were saying, is that a service announcement? No, Sunset Vibe Chefs, SVC. I couldn't fit it on the screen. So I don't know about you, but I love egg rolls. And I'm sure, hey, Vita Chef, you all do too. And I was born and raised in New York City. We had Chinatown at our fingertips. So what most people would do who don't speak Chinese are like, hey, make sure you go to a restaurant in Chinatown where the menu's in Chinese and just point at what they're eating and order it. And let me tell you, I ate some really good Chinese food. Actually, before COVID hit, I'm big on the theater district in New York City because I have a performing arts background as well, and I love the theater. And what better way than to enjoy it when you live in New York City or in the tri-state than to go to, Broadway or off-Broadway shows. So afterward, I won't say ritual, but what we will commonly do is go out to eat. Why not, right? And in 2020, before COVID, it was February, I believe, and we went to see a show, and I was craving Chinese food, and what do I do? Where are all the Chinese people eating? And we went in to eat in this restaurant, and believe it or not, there was these two Chinamen from Beijing, me and my husband at the time was sitting next to, and I couldn't believe it. They were celebrating their business going public on the New York Stock Exchange. And did you know these men shared their dinner with us, they shared drinks with us, and they ended up paying for our meal. I mean, never happened before, but I tell you, it was a blessing. And I hope those men are doing well today. I mean, COVID hit, we were on lockdown, and that was the end of that for a while as we know it, right? But I will tell you, there are two men claim to be responsible for the invention of egg rolls, and their names are Lung Feng, and he had a restaurant in Canal Street in the mid-1920s. Lung Feng, and he advertised that it was like this rivalry between Lung Feng and Henry Lo. Henry Lo was a chef on Mott Street, and he actually created a cookbook called Cook at Home in Chinese. Now I'm curious. I'm going to look up this Chinese cookbook because I love Chinese food. And I love Asian food. I love, East Asian cuisine from China. I love Japanese, Korean. I mean, I had all these different influences growing up in New York City. And, the pad thai, pho from Vietnam. I lived in a Filipino area, New Jersey, for 23 years. So definitely immersed in Asian cuisine. And I don't know, sometimes there's a little rivalry. We call it Oriental. I have someone I know who's Chinese. She's like, no, we're Oriental. But then some people might get offended by that. But overall, I love the different. We're Oriental, but then some people might get offended by that. But overall, I love the different. The variations that's different is that the filling's different. Well, with egg rolls, the cabbage, right? The cabbage is the key here. And just so you know, before the egg rolls became a thing or came into creation, it was the spring roll for 1600 years. And Vietnamese, I have Vietnamese friends from work, from my old job, and they made amazing spring rolls. The Filipinos make amazing spring rolls. Shout out to my cousin Raul and his wife Lilybeth, who is from the Philippines, she makes amazing egg rolls and spring rolls. So it is definitely a labor of love. And I tell you, if you go around the globe, you will see the love for egg rolls and spring rolls. And what do we like to use to dip them with? Into either like a nice fruit preserved duck sauce or a hot and spicy mustard. Well, the decision's up to you. Or you could just eat it by itself. Hello, hello. Thank you all for joining. I'm loving all this engagement. So again, the egg roll itself is an American invention created by immigrants that came to this country from China. And I will tell you, there is another gentleman I'd like to mention, David Leong. And Leong, after serving in World War II, he became popular in Philadelphia in the 1940s for adding peanut butter. Now, for those of you with nut allergies, I wouldn't recommend this, but the peanut butter, adding that into the egg rolls acts as what? A binder. And also it helps like to help seal the egg rolls. And not only that, it adds a different flavor profile. It is a flavor enhancer. And if you're familiar with Thai food, peanuts are very popular in that cuisine as well, which makes me wonder, do they have peanut allergies? I guess not, not as much because they use a lot of peanuts in their cooking and I like it. So, with that said, we are going to talk about the filling, and we're going to do a part two to this because I already marinated and roasted my pork tenderloin. What I did was I marinated in some plum and Asian spices, and then I pan seared it and then roasted it so that it could be ready to cut into little pieces because that is going to be the meat in my egg rolls. Now, granted, you can make them vegetarian or even put whatever your vibe is. If you want to put shrimp, if you want to put pork, if you want to do beef, it's up to you. And later on, we could even get more creative and do like a Philly's cheesesteak egg roll. You can even put avocado. What is it? Cheesecake Factories makes their Asian rolls with avocado and shredded cabbage and all that good stuff. So I am going to get ready. I'm going to cut up my meat later because it's already done. I'm going to have to, let me put on my apron. I don't have to cook that right now, but it's already flavored. Some people, what they would do is just, cook the meat with a little salt, pepper, or, ginger, garlic mixture, and then cut it up and have it on the side. So let me get my little induction surface stop cooking here ready. I was about to drink some coconut water so I can chat with you because I'll be doing a lot of chatting. This is going to be about 15 minutes, this demo, and then we're going to let the mixture cool off before wrapping them. And just another note, the difference with the egg roll wrapper, it is made of a different type of flour, and I will get back to you about that. I have it at the tip of my tongue and it's not coming out. But it's not regular flour that they use to make the egg roll flour. They definitely do use eggs. So let me turn this on and we're gonna get going, cooking. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna post this on my newsletter. So for those of you that, let me put this on. I'm gonna be cooking this at like 350. For those of you that have not already subscribed to my newsletter, what are you waiting for? Go to sunsetvibechefs.com. At the left corner, click join newsletter. And I only send it out twice a month. You get chef tips and trends, what's going on in SVC world, along with a few recipes of the month. Okay. So right now, let me put this to start. Here we go. I don't use this thing a lot. I use this merely for you so you could see me when I'm cooking. But I already have my mise en place ready. I'm using some, hold on, why is this messing with me here? Okay, medium on, okay. I have to reach the temperature. I put my phone on silent because I actually go on live with you from my cell phone. So let me raise this up here. Okay, so we have some chopped fresh ginger, garlic, some cilantro stems with the leaves, some green onion, and my spice blend, which is made up of some 5 spice blend powder, white pepper, some chili oil. I have it behind me. Some soy sauce and some hoisin sauce, and of course, oyster sauce. I already made my dip, so we'll go over that later. And I'm going to saute the cabbage now with a little bit of oil. I'm using avocado oil. I don't know why this thing is messing with me. Okay, thank you for bearing with me because we had a little technical difficulty and I'm gonna have to downsize to this other pot. And I think that's the issue with this. It's very sensitive to the cookware, and I was trying to get away with using my wok. Okay, so I'm letting this warm up and we are gonna start to saute this cabbage, and hopefully I can fit it all in this little pot. But yes, this is the thing when you're using this cooking surface, induction cookware. This one is particularly sensitive for me using this cookware. So I'm gonna probably have to get. I would love to let you join, but right now I can't. Sorry, we are doing a cooking demo. But yeah, I'm going to have to work with a friend of mine because she has access to this cookware and I need something bigger, like a wok, for this type of cooking. But it's all good, right? Nothing is perfect. It's like once burned, lesson learned. So that's what we're doing here. We are figuring it out sometimes as we go on along, doing cooking demos live on TikTok. This is not my business what I do live. Hello, Chef Harley. How you doing? And we're letting this warm up. All right, so now I'm going to add, I'm going to lower it a little bit because it's like 320. This does get kind of hot. And I'm using avocado oil. So we're going to put this cabbage in here. And I have about 1 pound of cabbage in here. So, if you want to have to cut your own cabbage, you could buy the one in the bag. I believe 1 bag will be sufficient. And that's what I'm using here. And then as I move along in this cooking demo, I'm going to do this for about 2 minutes, let it saute. And then we're going to add the aromatics because we don't want them to burn. So let me drink me some coconut water and get hydrated. I had a lot going on this morning. I did, it is Sunday, so I have my online ecclesia. A lot of things we talked about. So I know yesterday I talked about Jeremiah 1. That is definitely the scripture for me of the week. And, we all need inspiration, right? Because too many things going on in this world. But what I am going to mention to you right now is about the wonderful herb oil I made here. And one of the reasons I made this herb oil is, like many chefs, we not only use it for plating, but cooking. So if you have herbs that go bad quickly, especially now in your fridge, lightly blanch them, throw them in some ice water, and then put them in your blender with some oil and then you just let them, strain out. You could use like a coffee filter or a cheesecloth, and this is very potent. Like, see, this was made using basil, parsley. I had some thyme, sage. Yeah, and so what I'm gonna do is I'm probably gonna dilute that a little more because it's very strong. I tasted it, but it's good. I'm gonna use that for fish dishes. You could use it with chicken. So we're gonna lower this. This sucker gets really hot. So in a minute, I'm gonna add my aromatics in here in the center. And one of the things I wanted to share with you, bear with me 1 minute, is that the mixture I added some oyster sauce, some hoisin sauce. I said the 5 spice powder. It's gonna have the fresh ginger, garlic, also the cilantro stems. Very good. So much flavor packed in there. You want to add that into the mix. Some people, what they do, I've watched some cooking demos on, making egg rolls, and some people have a different way. They like to blanch their cabbage first, which is another way you can do it. And then you throw that into some ice water, strain it, and then just add all your seasonings to that, because they want to strain out some of that moisture because the cabbage does release a lot of moisture. And it's still going to release moisture when you're frying it. Actually, one of the key tips when you're frying your egg rolls to know when they're done is when the oil starts to splatter a lot towards the end, because it's releasing some of the moisture from the cabbage inside. And another one of the tricks to frying your egg rolls is to fry them twice to make them extra crispy. Hello, hello. Thank you for joining, Becky. Sorry to see all your names, but I appreciate y'all for joining. Happy Sunday. And look at this little gadget here. Actually, my mother gave me this, which I thought is awesome. It's a nice little brush, which I already have the egg wash in here, getting ready to wrap those egg rolls later after this cools off. Okay, so let's add the aromatics here in the center. I'm going to lower this a little. These things get pretty hot. So be careful if you have one of these in your possession and you go, these are live cooking demos. But oh my gosh, I wish you could smell this. It smells amazing. And you could also have bean sprouts. I don't have bean sprouts, but I would, if I did, I would add them. Believe me, I love bean sprouts. But all these great aromatics is just gonna make those egg rolls taste even more amazing. And as far as the oyster sauce, you can, if you're a more health conscious cook, you can find the oyster sauce that is wild, no MSG, and as mercury free as possible, right? Right now we're adding in the other seasoning mix, which is made up of the oyster sauce, some hoisin sauce, sesame oil. What else did I put in it? I put some white pepper. And remember, this flavor profile mixed with, the meat or fish, shrimp that you may add to it is going to be great. And you could even add some, scrambled eggs in there if you want. Make it your own. Nobody says that the egg roll has to be exactly how you get it in the Chinese restaurant, but I will tell you, New Jersey and New York rock for egg rolls because whenever I visit, I go to my favorite place in Bergenfield where I lived 23 years, and it's called Beijing Kitchen. Shout out to Beijing Kitchen. You guys rock when it comes to egg rolls. I don't have to make an egg roll if I don't feel like it because I could just go to Beijing Kitchen. And that is wonderful. Now, here's something different I'm gonna do. So I made a slurry with some cornstarch, like about 1 tablespoon with hot water, and I added the peanut butter. Now, this is the first time for me. I've never added the peanut butter, but I was so curious, and I love peanut butter, so I'm gonna add it. And that is gonna make this even more amazing, you know? I wish you could smell this. It looks and smells amazing. Well, I'm so glad that this pot worked out because honestly, when this didn't turn on because I had my wok on it, it was a reason. It was like, Monica, we don't like that pot. It is not part of our cookware. So yeah, when you use this, what is the brand of this? Oh, see, and you know what's the great thing? If you take it off the burner, it turns off automatically. So this is about done. I don't want it to get super soggy or anything. Let me see. I'm going to taste a piece of it because you know we should always taste what we make. Wonderful. So I'm turning that off, and this is gonna cool off. In the meantime, I'm gonna cut up my pieces of pork. I use pork tenderloin, so I have that behind me. That's cooling off right here. Voila! And I have a lot of it, so I'm gonna be making egg rolls all day long. And I already know I have fans, and I have a lot of it, so I'm gonna be making egg rolls all day long.